Here goes our test. This could have gone a lot worse. Welcome back, everybody, to the World's Worst Fishing. I'm your host, Chris Jones. Thanks for being here today to watch us again play with glitter in our garage. So I did a tube video not too long ago, and anyone who's been watching my channel for any length of time knows tubes are sort of my nemesis bait, right? I don't have a lot of experience making them because I don't have hardly any experience throwing them. Growing up here in Florida, well, North Florida, all our lakes are choked out in grass pads, you know. Just throwing a tube just really didn't come up much. So I don't have a ton of experience with tubes, and therefore I didn't really make a whole lot of tubes during the course of my bait career. But I've always wanted to do a really fancy tube, and the other day I was on Facebook and saw some tubes that just blew me away. I've seen this guy's work before. We're going to show it to you real quick and let y'all kind of see where the inspiration for this video came from today. I saw these tubes and I said, you know what, it's time. It's time for us to try and take our tube game up a level. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to try to make some fancy tubes. Yeah, so this is not an optical illusion. You are seeing a real physical soft plastic tube. Now these are giant, right? I think this guy makes like giant 8-inch tubes. So you're looking at a lot of surface area here to play with, you know, color and pattern. I want to say this is mostly mica powder effects added on to the exterior of the tube, and then maybe a clear dip over it, right? You can see he put some dead meat custom eyes on there. Really cool effect there. So we're going to try this in an injection mold in sort of a bass size, right? You know, this is sort of like giant musky tube, and most likely this guy, you know, sourced his own tube rod, you know, something really thick diameter for a lengthy tube, right? You know, you don't want an 8-inch tube that is, you know, the diameter of your pinky. It's got to have some bulk to it to sort of have a proportionate diameter. So these are giant, you know, musky tubes. We're going to see if we can do something like this in a small bass tube. All right, here he is, Angler State of Mind. Check it out, pretty cool. And as you can see, he is a tube guy. Oops. Yeah, some rainbow trout effect. Absolutely incredible. Galactic rainbow trout, I love it. So yeah, this is who is sort of responsible for forcing me to try to go crazy on a tube. So y'all give him a follow. We're going to give him a follow right now. And yeah, awesome work here. I can't say enough about this guy's work. He has really taken his tube game to some really special levels here. Yeah, really fun. Playing with some sort of broken flakes there. So yeah, let's see if we can recreate some of that magic with our 5-inch injection tube. This could get fun. Alright, here we go. Let's try to get started here. Alright, so we're going to start with some yellow. And then on the other side, we're going to start with some grit. Dead on grit. If you have not seen Dead on Grit, you're missing out. Alright. And the grit will kind of give us our cream, right? Look at that. You can always add white to opaque it, or also white to take some of that sort of brownish yellow hue out of it, right? So that's grit by itself. I think we want to lighten it a little bit, take some of that out. Yeah, as you can see, that just brightened it and lightened it up a little bit. All right, now let's stir in our yellow. So I think we're going to want yellow. We're going to take the edge off the yellow with a little bit of brown. Okay, we also need a lot more yellow. That's not near opaque enough. So yeah, I think we're just going to kind of keep mixing here till we get something that we like. All right. Yeah, that kind of took the edge off the yellow there. Okay, so I still think either side needs to be more opaque because I don't want this tube to be very see-through. right? Because most of the pattern is exterior. So we're just gonna keep adding yellow, and we might actually grit this a little bit. Grit just works so well as just a complementary color. Alright, so I think one of the final steps for this side is to add some orange. Orange it up. That will take it from kind of straight yellow to more school bus yellow, which to me always looks a little more orange. Yeah, I think we need it. Ooh, man, that's really close. Maybe one more. Alright. And we browned up our cream side just a little bit. Okay. And then the example that we had some small black flake in it, and maybe some other small size flake in it, but we're gonna flake it how we want. Alright. I definitely want flake in both sides, but not as much in our bottom color there. And I'm not sure if his example has flake in the bottom, but I want mine to have a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Just a nice little pepper effect almost, right? Some salt and pepper. And we're gonna add, here's a throwback. Oh, the teeny weensy stuff. You read it. 0.004. This is what you call fine flake. Alright? It almost looks more like you added a powder to it than flake. So a little bit of that to either side. And again, that's just for some salt and pepper. And because it's a yellow perch, which focuses on orange a lot, we're going to add a little bit of orange flake. Just a little bit as sort of a little bonus flake in there. Alright, let's try a shot with the AI dual injector and see what we get. Alright, we don't need a lot of plastic, it's just one mold. Alright. Okay. I have it backwards. Alright. Alright, if these turned out, then this will be the only mold reveal of the day. So we need to do our drum roll now. Here we go. Kind of sticks a little bit. Yeah. Okay, let's get one off. I love how they look like lollipops. Yeah, not bad. Oops. We're not in focus, are we? I think that'll work. Okay, here goes nothing. We're going to do what I think I need to do and start adding some black mica in sort of a perch stripe. Now it may look a little silvery, that's just from certain angles. Alright, so we will kind of do our best to just sort of paint on, essentially, a perch bar. Alright, that sort of triangular barring there. And zoom out. Oops. The kicker is going to be keeping this in focus, right? So now let's start with another one. And again, this is just a really fine little paintbrush here. I hadn't done this in a while, guys, brushing powders like this. I like to dust powders a lot, particularly in a swim bait. But in terms of like trying to paint on an actual shape, no, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. We used to do a lot of this kind of thing here on the World's Worst Fishing. Again, trying to keep this in focus. It's kind of having a hard time. Yeah. So we'll start on the third. And it's really easy to make them too perfect, right? So you don't want your stripes to all be exact, okay? At least I think a little bit of organic sloppiness is always a good thing, right? You know, let's not make them too perfect. Sort of connected all right on top. Just kind of get some extra powder along the top, and then we're also going to fill this in with some green, right? Looks like he took a green powder as well, or for all I know, he airbrushed these. But it looked like powder, and I really love using powders for this sort of thing. So this is sort of what we're gonna try first. Something akin to this, right? Really kind of fill in that head a little bit. Yeah. So that is sort of, I guess maybe what we'll call step one. Now let's fill it in with a little bit of green here and there. And hopefully the green isn't too overpowering. But I like how he kind of faded his green in. And it wasn't too overpowering, right? Yeah. So we're going to actually try to spread it a little thinner than that, right? Yeah, he kind of outlined his vertical bars there a little bit, but didn't overpower it. So I think I laid it on a little bit too thick right there at the front. See if I can get you just a slightly better view of this. Man, it is brutal today. The lighting must be really, really challenging. Yeah. Yeah, so basically, we're just going to kind of fill in some of these gaps here. Maybe bring the, maybe bring some of that green down. All right. Yeah. Fade it out somewhat. Yeah, really pretty there. All right, I don't have the best orange powder here. It's sort of a color shift, so we're gonna kind of just try and lay it on as tastefully as we can. Let me again try to get you a little bit better view of this. Just sort of have our orange belly, right? Because we need our orange belly. So yeah, this will sort of give us our own little orange flare here. His orange was definitely a more regular orange. This one sort of has that kind of coppery burnt orange about it. So that is sort of our last step there. Okay. This is where it actually would be a good thing to have the flat eyes. You can see I added a little bit of effect down into the tail at the bottom there, just so that once the tails are cut, we'll have a little bit of detail. So yeah, wish me luck. If this one turns out, we'll do some more. And those eyeballs are courtesy of Dead Meat Customs. Yeah, it's that one kind of right there in the middle. Very cool. Putting the good eyes on our tubes today. Here goes our test. All right, gonna dip it, twist it, pull it out. Yeah, not bad. All right. We're going to let that kind of drip a little bit. And then the way to dome that off is to actually, yeah, pull it up and kind of twist it upward like that. There's a little bit of a trail there that we can heat gun out. Not bad, you guys. Especially for a first timer. Alright, so I definitely think I have a little bit too much green. I'm not seeing enough of our kind of goldish orange coming through in the body there. So I'm going to try another one, right? You know, I have several more. And I'm going to see if I can get it just a little bit better, right? Maybe space my stripes out a little bit more, use less green, and hopefully some of that kind of orange yellow will come through a little bit more. But all in all, really not bad, guys. This could have gone a lot worse. And I would be morally remiss if I did not give y'all the satisfaction of watching this part. Peeling them off. Which I should have done this a little earlier, because now some of the worm oil has kind of dried up. But yeah, here we go. See if I can get it to focus. Isn't that satisfying to watch? It's like a tube being born. Yeah, for my first time doing this, I have to say I'm actually pretty happy with these. You know, I have a pretty high standard for my swim baits, but like I said, I've never been too much of a tube guy, but I really like how those came out. Okay, see if we can get this off without completely destroying our creation. Yeah, this is my old school hammer tail cutter. You basically just hammer it. Yeah, it kind of ripped a few pieces there. Oh, whoops. Told y'all I wasn't really a tube guy, but yeah, that ain't bad. So you can see there how cool those effects are in the tail, right? That's why we kind of followed his example and added some of that little detail back there in the tail. Really nice, actually. Yeah, so this actually went well enough that it's kind of got me fired up and inspired to try it again, and to keep building on the foundation today. You know, I would prefer to hand dip them next time. That'll just give me a little bit smoother finish, right? You won't see some of those lines and striations from the injection mold. But as you can see, if you're not on the up and up on how to dip a tube, which I certainly am not, you can do some pretty fancy things in an old school injection tube mold. So yeah, this went well enough that it was fun. I didn't just have a frustrating result, and that kind of gives me some confidence to keep building on it. You know, these are really good. They're not as good as old buddies, but hey, not bad for really a first go at this. You know, I've worked a lot with mica powders and you know, tried to experiment with different ways to apply them, but never in a tube like this. You know, a round surface, never a pattern quite this complex. All right, now I can add a tube to my fancy baits collection. That's great. Yeah, how about it? Fits right in. All right, well, that was fun. That was truly a challenge. I had no idea how it was going to work out. You know, a lot of times whenever I do my hand pouring techniques, even if I'm trying a new pattern, I'm usually pretty confident in at least what it's going to look like. You know, this one you sort of had the benefit of adding all the pattern to the exterior, so it's much like painting or airbrushing. You know how it looks as you go. With hand pouring, you never really know because you're doing it all inverted on both sides of the molds, and then you put them together and pour your body. You don't really know until it's over, and there's no recourse if you mess up. You got to start all over again. So we had the benefit of the doubt of being able to see what it looked like as we went, but I still didn't know. I had never done this before. I could see a lot of uses for that. You know, it really in my mind throws me back way back in the day, 6 years ago, when I was pouring a lot of swim baits in silicone molds, and I was doing this very thing, taking mica powders and mixing it with pigment to make a paste, or just using the straight powder like this and brushing it on to make a pattern, or maybe dabbing it in a sponge and sponging it on. You know, there's a lot of ways to add really great effects to the exterior of the bait that really have nothing to do with hand pouring. There was no hand pouring today. So really fun. Hey, if you have any of the AI tube molds at home, definitely give something like this a shot. Super fun, super challenging, and very different. That was definitely a journey. I can see how that would be really fun in the giant tube molds. In the smaller sizes, you go to putting too much pattern in there, and it can look a little cramped. It's not that it's not big enough for you to actually do it. It can just start to look a little cramped in a small mold. But I can see how in them giant ones, like he has, that yeah, you would sit out here all day painting up tubes. That would be really, really, really fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a very first for World's Worst Fishing, something different. And hey, maybe now we'll see more tubes. That was really fun. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll see you in the next video, and be on the lookout for the next Casting Creations live stream podcast.